What if you could still stand in and take a charge? There's just no call. You could step in like if you're coming down the lane, I'm not meeting you at the rim, but maybe I could slide in and take a charge. I don't get a charge. The refs are just like.
There's already too much conflict between players and referees already. Could you imagine they tell you take a charge?
Anyways,
no, charge stays.
Charge gotta stay, right? Gotta stay. I think that'll make the game too wild.
Yeah, gotta stay.
Too wild.
Like arch rivals then. You remember that game on Nintendo? Arch rivals, they go crazy.
Welcome back to Mind the Game.
Yes, sir.
Another time around.
Let's do it.
I got a call the other day from the great Grant Hill, with my former teammate, a good friend, someone I think the world of, who's now, what is Grant's title of USAB? Is it president, CEO?
Everything.
Everything? But basically running USAB,
Yeah.
trying to keep that world supremacy.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is a tricky task, but
hell of a job this past summer too.
Yeah.
Last summer. Yep, great job.
But he called me up and he said, he's been listening to the pod, he's enjoyed it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I was like, clearly not busy enough, G. But one thing he said to me was that he was really impressed with your voice this summer, your leadership. He also said you were the first to meetings, first on the bus. I don't want to make you sound like a, you know what I mean, a goody two shoes here, but I will say from a coaching perspective, when your best player, most famous player, most kind of accredited player sets that standard every day, there's a trickle down.
Yeah.
There's a care factor. There's a priority placed on what we're doing. Maybe just talk a little bit about where that comes from. Like, where does that desire to be there, be early?
Yeah. I don't know. I think I was born into it for some odd reason. Like I've always had a feeling of like I don't like being late to anything. It was always like I feel like it's like a disrespectful thing. My stomach starts to hurt a little bit.
Anxiety.
Like my anxiety starts to ramp up if I'm late or tardy. Like it happened when I was even like in like elementary school. Like, if the bell rung and before I was in my chair, like I would I guess my whole day would be messed up. And when I started to play sports, I always wanted to be at practice early.
Did that come from your mom? A part of that, was that just something innate in you, the way you were wired?
I didn't pick it up from my mom. Yeah. I don't think so. Like, I don't think I picked it up from my mom. I think I was just born that way. I've always been like, my anxiety, I can't function right when I'm late. And it's stuck with me throughout my, obviously till now I'm 40 years old, but when I started playing organized sports, it was like the perfect match, like for me, because like, it's like, if you're not on time to practice, you're gonna have to run. Like I played football first, Little League football. Like if you didn't run, you'd have to run sprints or you would have to run gashers or 17s. And I know football people out there, they know exactly what those are, and that shit is punishment. You do not wanna be late to a football practice and have to run, gashers or 17s or 100s. I never, unless like, I didn't have the means like to, my mom didn't have a car when we were growing up and, so if I was late because of someone picking me up late or whatever the case may be, and I couldn't control that, even though I was still having anxiety about being late, some things I couldn't control. But like, to hear Grant say those words, man, and it's just always been in me, man. And, I feel like, especially when you start playing sports and you're around other people, and as you get older and older and older, and you go from little league to middle school ball to high school ball, and if it's either college or the professionals, wherever you are, I think I've always looked at it as like a disrespect to, the people that you're working with. Mm-hmm. You're late. You disrespecting other people's time. And I never felt good about that. And I didn't. what other people do, that's what other people do, you know. But for me personally, like being on time has always been being late to me.
Yeah.
You know, so to be able to get the places early and like, you know, I didn't know what was setting the tone for the rest of the group, you know, whatever stage that was. But to be there on time, I felt like it was late and I wanted to be there extra early. You know, talk to the coaches, you know, this past summer, you know, when we was in, you know, for the Olympic team, being able to, you know, the coaches are always going to be there a little bit early. They talk about what they want to do tonight versus the opponents or practice. I get there early and just kind of, you know, watch the film or talk to them and see what was going on. And then the guys start trickling in and coming in. But it's just always kind of been me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, when teammates start trickling in and they see you're there time and time again early, it does set a standard. It also shows them how much you care, right? I think that's really important, like for everyone to recognize, like, oh, this means a lot to Bron.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? What about the voice? It's another part of leadership. He was really impressed with how you use your voice and how willing you were, whether it's film, shoot around, on the bench. He just was impressed. Like, talk me through where that
came from.
Like, you know, he probably wasn't there for rookie year, right?
Nah.
You know, like maybe high school, it was of course natural, but you move into a new league and then you have to find your voice as a player. What's the evolution there?
I was a class clown, and
so you weren't always a brown nose.
No. That only started the last couple of years. I was a class clown and a jokester, and I mean, I still am today. Like all my people know I love laughing and joking and things of that nature. And so I think that's where the kind of the voice stemmed from. But when I started playing sports, like some of my little league coaches said, okay, you need to use that to an advantage, you know, of playing the sport too, you know, and helping some of the other kids out with your voice that may not feel confident in their ability to talk or maybe don't want to talk. And, you know, and then I got into high school and, you know, my high school coaches would tell me like the best thing about you besides your skill, whatever the case may be, is your voice. You know, being able to, you know, call out plays before they happen, you know, call out our sets when we were coming down, be in the back line of the defense. We ran a lot of press, you know, in high school, and I would be on the second line of the press, so I could shoot the gaps and things like that, get steals of that nature. And so I was the one kind of calling out the sets. If it was like, you know, we had 12 and 21, and 12 was half court press, 21 was full court press. So I was always calling out those sets. And even when I was like a freshman, you know, it was me and Maverick. Maverick was our senior captain, but you know, I was the one, like my voice was kind of the loudest, even as a 14-year-old freshman. And, you know, that went all the way into my senior year. My voice was always, you know, commanding and, you know, and just knowing what was going on the floor, and it helped our team. You know, we was able to win 3 state championships in 4 years, and I seen how it translated. You know, it kind of slowed down a little bit my rookie year in the NBA, not because the voice wasn't there, it's just because I felt like, okay, I need to sit back and soak in knowledge and learn and just see, you know, when was my voice going to be needed? You know, I didn't want to go in there just like when I was the #1 player in the country my senior year, but I knew when I got drafted, I was number 450. That's how I looked at it. I was like, okay, so how can I get back to #1 like I did when I was a freshman to my senior year? How can I get back to #1? And I felt like it wasn't gonna be me talking. I needed to soak in the knowledge. I needed to learn. I needed to earn it, you know. And I think when Mike Brown,
I just like everyone out there to hear that. LeBron James came in the NBA and thought, I need to earn it.
Yeah.
That, like, hold on. We don't see enough of that anymore.
I definitely came in with I'm 450. Let's start from 450. You know, the last player in the league. Not saying that I was, but that was my mindset. How can I gain back to #1? And then when Mike Brown took over our team, you know, a couple years after I think it was my 3rd year, maybe my 4th year. He was a defensive-minded coach, big time defensive-minded coach, and he would hear me speak in practices, or like in the summer we'd come in and play, and he would hear me, hear my voice. My voice was, very commanding. And he was like, in order for us to be, one of the best defensive teams in the league up there with San Antonio and Detroit and some of the better teams, I'm going to need your voice. I'm going to need it. And from there on, I was able to do what I did best. It wasn't something I needed to learn. It was something I had, but now I was able to use that to our advantage, and it's just from year 3 to year 22. Right. It's been here.
Growing.
Yeah, it's been here. Yeah.
So in high school, your presses were 12 and 21?
Yeah.
I just like to apologize to my high school coach. Yeah. Great coach, Hides. I don't remember shit we ran. I'm really sorry. I don't remember one thing we ran in high school. I know I had a great time. I know you were a hell of a coach.
Yeah, we had Diamond. We had.
How do you remember all this stuff?
We had Diamond, 12, 21. We had Fist, Double Fist. Double Fist was when we turned you in the backcourt, and on the second turn, we trapped. Make them turn. Amazing. Yeah. Our defensive schemes are great.
How many games ago was that? This year.
Oh my God, so many.
22. What is it?
22 years. My last high school game was in March of 2003. We in year 2025. Oh my God.
Coachable. Remembers that. This episode is sponsored in part by American Express. American Express has taught me that finding the perfect restaurant is a lot like finding the perfect play. It's all about timing, research, and sometimes a great recommendation from someone you trust. Being on the road so much, I've become pretty particular about where I eat. My ideal spot is usually a local-owned place that has great energy where you can enjoy an amazing meal while having a great conversation. Sometimes it's that new fusion spot everyone's talking about. Others, it's just a little spot a friend recommended. With Amex Gold, you earn 4 times membership rewards points on purchases at restaurants, on up to $50,000 in purchases per year. So you can get rewarded for dining at some of the hottest restaurants in town and earn up to $100 back annually on eligible purchases at U.S. Resi restaurants. Enrollment required. That's the powerful backing of American Express. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/withAmex. After many years in the game, both on court and off, I know all about high-stakes showdowns. That's why I'm hooked on Michael Crichton's Binary on Audible. From the creator of Jurassic Park and ER comes this classic techno thriller about a radical aiming to bring down the government with a deadly nerve gas. The cat and mouse game between the terrorist and a determined State Department agent had me on the edge of my seat in the ride over here. But Audible isn't just about heart-pounding thrillers. From electrifying suspense and daring quests to spine-tingling horror and romance in far-off realms, Audible delivers thrills of every kind on your command. You'll find gripping titles that keep you guessing, exclusive Audible originals, and bestsellers that hook you from the first minute. Ready for your next great adventure? Sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/game and discover what lies beyond the edge of your seat. We'll shifting gear back to those days. It's NBA draft season.
Oh, here we go.
The draft. Incredible time.
Incredible time, man.
Yeah.
Incredible time for the newcomers coming in. First of all, good luck to all you guys, to the guys that get drafted, to the guys that slide, to the guys that don't get drafted. Does not mean that your dream is not going to be accomplished, man. Just no matter if you get picked 1, don't matter if you don't get picked, no matter if you slide, like the work is the work. And,
Thank you.
And that's all that matters. But I wish the best to all the guys that declare for the draft, and it should be a great one, man.
Yeah. I love that, though. You were the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
We all knew that for 2 years, 3 years coming in. I was, a senior at Santa Clara, was hoping to get picked 15th in the first round. Probably knew by the end I was going to be a first-round pick, but it took me 4 years of college. There's guys that go undrafted. AR, was AR undrafted?
Yep. Austin Reeves, yep.
Who are incredible players in the league. We all develop at different rates.
Yep.
We all develop at different rates. So do not hang your hat on the draft and the draft alone.
Yep. Can I read something?
Yeah.
I'm going to read something.
Dig in the archives.
Yeah, I'm going to dig in the archives. So I have a group chat with me, Bronny, and Bryce.
Okay.
And, from time to time, I'll send just, things that just, focus them back in. So I sent this June 18th, 2024. I'll tell you who this guy is after I read this. Unranked in high school, 0 D1 scholarship offers, played 3 years of Division II basketball at UCCS.
I know who it is.
Transferred to Colorado, and now is an NBA champion on
Hell of
the
a
best
player.
teams in the NBA. That guy's Derek White.
Hell of a player.
Hell of a player. Yeah. And my message was to them, everybody's road to success is different, so stay locked in and patient. That was my message to my boys last year.
Good message.
Yeah. So
I mean, there's a lot of stories like that. It's funny, right? Like there's more stories like that than there is stories like yours.
Right. Correct.
People didn't recognize that. I had one scholarship offer. Stephen Curry did not get a scholarship to his dad's alma mater, Virginia Tech. His dad played in the league for a long time. Mm-hmm. I don't remember Kawhi Leonard being on a lot of radars, even when he got to the league. You go around, there's a lot of guys that develop. I mean, Giannis, coming from where he came, Jokic, second round pick.
Second round.
You go through the league, they're littered, with people that got there in a circuitous way, let's say. It's almost more common than the person that got there from high school All-American to college All-American.
It's way more common than the LeBron James and the Cooper Flaggs.
Right.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, that's a great message. I'm glad you could share that with us.
Yeah,
Thank
for sure.
You. Speaking of Cooper, he's in a position you can relate to. He's the consensus number one and terrific player.
Terrific player.
What do you remember about being in that position? Like, what advice would you give him? Like, you know you're the number one pick. The whole world of basketball is looking at you.
Yeah.
It's got to come with a lot of expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, one, obviously, you're super excited. It's like, it's what we all dreamed about as kids, and laying in your bed, with the basketball just shooting up, at the ceiling, working on your form.
Done that.
Just doing that, or if you were able to get a basketball hoop in your driveway, then you're doing the whole countdown 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, wanting to hit a big buzzer shot, in the NBA at some point, and then you're wearing other people's jerseys growing up, you're wearing other guys' shoes, just like all that type of stuff, playing video games with all the people you inspire to be and want to be a part of. Yeah. And now the moment is here. So you're just like, you're in awe, man. You're like, wow, I can't believe that this dream is finally coming true, And at the same time, there's a little anxiety and pressure that comes with it too. Because, as the number one pick, the expectations are automatically put on you. Doesn't matter if they're right or wrong, and we're around the same age. I was 18 when I was drafted. I believe Cooper's 18, maybe turning 19 soon, but it's all the same. But it takes time, man. It takes time and the expectation to wanting to put a 18-year-old, 19 kid in a position where he's like, he needs to be great right away. Mm-hmm. I think it's unfair, but it's also something that I think we can, as kids like myself and Cooper can use as like motivation as well. Mm-hmm. And I personally think that he wants to be great. He had a hell of a year at Duke, a guy that can do so many different things on the floor, can play with the ball, can play without the ball. His jump shot is going to continue to get better, super athletic, quick second jump. And also, he has the benefit, unlike myself, he gets to join a team that's established.
Right.
With Hall of Fame guys, Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, right off the bat, Hall of Fame coach Jason Kidd. These guys are like, they can give him the whole blueprint while he continues to learn what his blueprint will be. And I think that's going to be an incredible thing for him to have that type of presence, that type of leadership, that type of just basketball IQ and knowledge around him every single day from those pieces. So I think he's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and an environment, right? That's not we're the worst team in the league.
Right.
We're going to try to develop
learning bad habits.
Right.
You know, that happens too, man. You get guys that you never know what their trajectory should have been based on if they were in a toxic environment or a losing environment or an environment that had great habits. You know, like we mentioned Kawhi, like, you know, we don't know if Kawhi would have ended up somewhere without those type of built-in habits in San Antonio. Would he have been, you know, he would have probably been great, obviously, but he had time to hone those skills, be around Timmy, be around Manu, be around Tony, be around Pop, to where he was able to get better on his own time and not the league's time.
Right. So unique, made me forget, right? But the player, obviously now he's such a world-class player, but he's playing for championships right away.
Yeah,
like that's a totally different, that's a very unique position for a rookie. Yep. Did you play with Cooper in the summer? Were you in those practices?
He was on the development team, on the select team, we call him. Yep. Yeah, and he played extremely well, man. Yeah. I've been watching Cooper for a few years because my son played AAU basketball on the Nike EYBL circuit, Bronny. So, you know, we would be in tournaments either in like, you know, Peach Jam in Georgia or Kansas City or Dallas or Indianapolis, and you know, Cooper, unlike a lot of kids, he played for his team out of Maine. Right. A lot of these kids are going to
recruited.
Yeah, recruited, whatever. Him and his brother and a bunch of those guys they grew up with played on I think they were called, I forgot, it was Maine Select or something like that. But and he made them competitive, versus teams that were stacking teams. You know, him and his brother. You know, I thought that was just super cool because that was how I remember me. That's how I was. You know, I played for the Northeast Ohio Shooting Stars. Like me and my guys grew up playing together and having to play all the best teams in the country. I just thought that was super cool. But you know, he's a big time talent. Yeah,
says something about his mentality. What did you notice practicing with him? What did you notice about his mentality?
Oh, he just made winning. He's a winner. It just seemed like he make winning plays. He just make winning plays. And even at his first year at Duke, he just made winning plays. You know, and obviously, you know, the fact that he was the freshman and I think he was Player of the Year this year as well, ACC Player of the Year, you know, and I just thought he just played the game the right way. How you will hope that, you know, a player that of his caliber just comes to work every day just trying to get better, and I just think he's been getting better and better.
That's a great indicator, right, of his success, making willing to make small plays that mean a lot to winning. So I would say, like, the one thing for such a prodigious talent that we want to wait and see what happens with is how good is he with the ball, right? Like, he obviously is capable with the ball. We've seen him do a lot of things with the ball, but is he that primary guy? Will he be? But I love to hear that, like, well, I think he's going to get there. Love to hear that his mentality is, I'm happy to do whatever the team needs.
And he has, and a lot of people, he has the ability to do it at this, you know, especially at this point. And, you know, when you have, you know, the guys that they have, he doesn't have to put too much more pressure on himself. You know, he can put the pressure on himself to get better every single day. But as far as, you know, his rookie year or his second year, he doesn't have to put the pressure of making every play. He has guys out there that can help him with that. So, you know, I think he could possibly be in a position where he could, you know, build into who he's going to be at his pace and not what the league expect the number one player picked.
Where's my 25 a night?
Right, exactly. What you should be doing is your number one player. You're number one player out of high school, but like, you know, maybe that's not my timeline. And I hope he doesn't get pressured by what the narrative timeline is because you're the number one player picked.
So what do you think it looks like? I mean, that's a huge thing for him to go to a winning team where the pressure's not on him to score 25 a night from the start. Awesome. Great for his development. But there must be, like, you've been in this position, there must be a little bit of a sense of relief on draft night just to get it behind you.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? You feel that way? Sure. And then what does it look like? Like, what was your mentality after the draft? Because now it's like you've built up to this thing, like you said, in the driveway, in bed at night. Now you're drafted, you are going to an NBA team, you're moving to a city. What was your mindset like? I mean, obviously you knew you were going to Cleveland early. He knows he's going to Dallas. What was your mindset like of, like, this is what this summer looks like?
It was, you know.
You're young guys.
Yeah, super young, And, you know, I have been building up for the NBA for a couple years. You know, like, you know, my junior and senior year of high school, I have been, you know, I wouldn't say building up to, like, you know, to play against those guys, but I kind of knew that, you know, after my junior year that had an opportunity to go straight out of high school. So I was kind of building up, my reps, building up my strength, building up my stamina, things of that nature. And then right after the draft, I was like, okay, just get to work. I knew Summer League was coming up, and I didn't get an opportunity to be a part of Vegas many years ago.
Where was it?
We was in Boston to start, and then Orlando.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
more regional. We had Utah out here.
Yeah.
Way back there at Long Beach.
Yeah, they had I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. So I was just getting ready for, for Summer League, and it was just a lot though. Like I couldn't really really lock in on you had so much to do. You got the media stuff to do. The ESPYs was going on, and they want you at the ESPYs, and want you at Summer League here. But I just wanted to have fun with the process, and. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of pressure. The games were sold out for Summer League games, and it was a lot of pressure in that sense. But I just want to try to have a lot of fun with it and make the most out of this summer going into my rookie year.
So how did you manage? Everyone's personality is different.
Yeah.
I could see you enjoying going to the ESPYs and being the center of attention in a way because you have a fun, gregarious personality that Cooper may not be that way.
Yeah.
What was your approach to that stuff? I had the ESPYs, obviously I got all this Nike stuff, media stuff, other brands. How did you, as an 18-year-old, kind of manage that?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun for me.
Yeah.
It was super fun for me. I always kept the main thing though. I understood that at the end of the day, I had to work. If I wanted to enjoy, then I needed to work. And even when I came out to LA and did the ESPYs, I literally left Summer League in Boston, flew here for the ESPYs, I believe, and then right after that, I had to fly back to Orlando. But I didn't miss a day in the gym.
Yeah.
I stayed in the gym. I wanted to work. I wanted to get better, and I also wanted to have fun and enjoy it, but at the same time, understanding what the main goal was. And the main goal for me is the only reason I'm invited to the ESPYs is because I play the game of basketball.
Yeah.
And that is, you make sure you keep that the main thing. That's the focus.
Right.
And I think for Cooper, as long as he understands you keep the main thing, man, Pat Riley has made that, a famous quote. I kind of knew that. I knew that even as an 18-year-old kid. As long as I keep the main thing, then nothing will sway me away from what I want my career to look like.
That's a good message. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's the work, right?
That's it.
Stacking days, being consistent.
Days, man. There's no substitution for hard work. There ain't no substitution for it.
It's the main separator, right? Is how we work.
For sure. What
do you think? Why do you think some players thrive more in the NBA than in college?
That's a great question. Obviously, when I watch some college games, and I'm gonna be honest, it's hard to watch college games a lot because of the space.
Yep.
The spacing, it feels like everyone.
Bogs it down.
Yeah, it feels like everyone is in the paint.
Yeah.
Everyone is in the paint, and some programs do a great job of now trying to open it up. And I watched Florida. This past year, they kind of play a version of the NBA style. A couple years ago, the Connecticut team, their version of, passing in and cutting and keeping it spaced and keeping everybody out of the paint. But ultimately, you could still just, if you want to, you could just stand in the paint defensively and not move. Yeah. So I think, you bring certain guys into the league that maybe didn't thrive as much in college, but the space. Also, one thing that it's funny what Bronny told me. He was like, the best thing about the NBA compared to college is that I can literally just focus straight on basketball.
Yeah.
In college I had to go to class.
Right.
You have to meet, you have to do work and stuff like that. You have to, go to all these things that's going on campus and meet with the academic advisors here and then meet with these people here. He's like, as much as you think basketball is the main thing in college, sometimes it's not.
Right.
He said once I got drafted and realized, listen, I could just go to the gym early, get my work in, practice, go home, take a nap, and I could come back to the gym again, and then go home and go to sleep, play my game. He was like, this is the best. So I think you're able to hone your skills and just play more basketball too, which helps a lot of guys too.
Yeah, we also had Luke on with us talking about how it's almost easier sometimes in the NBA because of the space, even though he also said the players are way better than maybe the EuroLeague or college. But the spacing does make the game, and the pace makes the game. You have more opportunities. Yeah. The only problem is to be successful in the NBA, like to be efficient as an NBA player, like we're talking about, there's not that many people on the planet that are really efficient NBA players. So, okay, you got more space and time now. You got to make something happen with it, right? Like day after day after day.
You got to make the most of it.
And be consistent. You know, it's interesting. We talk about, the top pick, Cooper Flagg. We talk about, some players going undrafted. It's an interesting time too with NIL. Because if you're not a guaranteed first round pick and you're making really good money now to stay in college, like that's a big consideration. One, financially, and two, you can develop in a safe space. The NBA, it's a risk. You could come out, go in the second round, or not get drafted and not make the team. Yeah, right. It's interesting. I think it's going somewhere positive. It's just a bit lawless.
It's a little lawless right now. Right. Yeah, it's a little bit lawless right now. They got to figure it out. But I think, like you said, as far as you're not as stressed out about declaring for the draft and then having to stay in, if I hired an agent or whatever the case may be and not get drafted. If you feel like you're not ready and you're developing and, the NIL is there. Right. You still able to make good money, stay on campus still, play great ball.
Facilities are unreal in college.
Facilities are great, or hit the transfer portal. Maybe, you go somewhere else, and you're able to, cash in on the NIL as well and continue to develop until you believe that you're ready, or now the scouts are even, talking more. Your name is out there a little bit more, saying that you are ready. So it's definitely a thing. Like he says, the NIL is a little lawless right now, but Mabby kids are making money, man. It was, shit.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. But it feels like, is there a plan? Is there a plan coming together? Like, it's a little disorganized. The other thing about the draft that's interesting to me is like the way the game's becoming so positionless. I feel like there's a premium on that positionless player with potential. And it seems like it's evolving. I'd love to get your take on this, but like it started like 3-and-D guys because they could guard multiple positions, they could stretch the floor. You watch these two teams in the finals, they're asking their quote-unquote 3-and-D guys now to be able to play blender. So like it's not just stand in the corner, make a three and guard. It's now you got to be able to guard different positions. You got to be able to make a perimeter shot. You also have to, when given a closeout, drive the ball, make the next play. Do you feel like that's where this game's evolved to?
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to put 5 guys on the floor that can do multiple things, and if not everything, not saying everything great.
Right.
You only need one
simple
guy,
plays.
2 guys that can do. You have your staple guys that can do everything great, like you said. Make the simple play, but being able to at least attract the eyes of another defender, so if that defender helps, you can just get off of it, and now it starts the blender action, these players are being sought after more and more and more as the years are going, and it's you're seeing, you saw obviously what Boston been able to do with those guys. Those guys are all positionless, being able to, catch, shoot, drive, pass. That's it. And then you have the great ones. Obviously, you have the Brown and the Tatums that they can do. They give it a little bit more freedom to do that. And now you see Indiana, you see OKC. They put all guys on their floor that can make plays. Even Hartenstein. They give him the ball, boom, pinch post. He uphill DHO. Okay, you jump out too fast. Okay, uphill keep DHO keep.
Floater.
Floater. Or okay, my guy, you overplayed. I can make a backdoor cut after the split action. I can make those passes, so you don't look at him as a guy that could, but he actually can. You know what I'm saying? Miles Turner the same way. We was talking about it like on the last show when Miles Turner as I'm a short roll. You're gonna think I'm rolling all the way, and then when my guy drives, you're gonna be in the paint. Now I'm gonna pop all the way back to the 3, and if you close out, I can put the ball on the floor and either get myself a shot or get it sprayed. Those are. Obi Toppin, same. Those guys are just positionless players where, okay, if we switch, I can guard the 1, I can guard the 5, I can guard the 4. Those are players that's very key to teams being able to, like you said, be positionless in our league.
Yeah, it's always interesting this time of year to see in the draft how many guys in that kind of like 6'4" to 6'9" range get taken and where they're at in their development. How many teams are like, they know what this guy can do, or this is a project we got to develop, but he fits a profile that our team and our league needs. That's always fascinating.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Well, shifting gears, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of these rule changes or concepts that I've been hearing out there recently. Now, some of these are to make the game better, but some of them are to make the game better for the fans. And I think that's kind of the prism we got to look at these. So the one that's been talked about a lot with all the three-point shooting, the evolution of the three, is to eliminate the corner three. So to be clear, the three-point line curves, and then it goes straight down to the corner. I believe the concept would be that curve just goes until it touches the sideline.
And then that's it.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So anything in the corners is a long two.
A long two.
Where does that take our game? I like our game. I like our game. But let's envision, guys standing in the corner trying to space the floor, but he's not spacing for a three.
Yeah, I mean, it would be an adjustment.
Right.
I think we listen, one thing about us as NBA players, we are adaptable. And if we have to, no matter if we like it or not, we're able to adapt. I mean, I like our game where it is. I think the corner three is it's a great shot. Obviously, it's the best shot in our league besides a dunk or a layup or a free throw. But I mean, it would be something that could be looked at. I mean, if the fans and our committee board are saying, okay, maybe let's take a look at it, I think it should be something that could possibly be explored. Like you said, like a summer league or
G League
showcase or something like that. You don't just throw it to us right away.
Right.
The players are not the NBA guys don't want to just throw it onto us right away.
This is a big change.
Yeah, it's a huge change.
You can't just
you can't just throw it on us like that. Like, oh, well, here we go, guys. You show up to practice the first day of training camp and there's no corner three.
What am I doing?
What am I doing?
That one seems like too big a leap for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Too big a leap for me. Now, I think our game would have to get, because like I said, I love our game.
Right.
So what are we talking about?
Right.
That's not one that I would tweak,
I agree.
What about eliminating 3 seconds in the lane? That basically gets us to FIBA.
Yeah, in college.
In college, right? We just talked about how college can get a little bogged down, no spacing. We want to encourage speed of play, skill, athleticism, fast pace, right?
Yeah.
So for the fans too, it's a give and take, obviously, but I like the way our game's played, open and fast.
Yeah, I agree.
It's getting to more of it's more jazz now, like read and react, play out of principles, seeing the players think and adapt on the flies. I think this is an incredible era for that.
Agreed.
Here's one talking about defensive player of the year. Do we need a big and a small? Because traditionally the bigs have dominated, right?
Yeah.
You got that rim protector back in my day. You got the odd guard, but usually it was like the bigs. It felt like. Do you feel like there should be a big, like a big and a perimeter?
I don't know if it should be a big and a perimeter, but I do think the landscape of the voting and how we clarify the defensive player of the year is determined. Because right now, like if you can't guard on the perimeter, you can't play.
Right.
But if you're a big and you can guard and you can't guard bigs, you can actually still play because there's not much. It's not the '90s anymore, where guys are posting up a lot.
That's right.
The game is more on the perimeter. So, I think that just the clarity of what the defensive player award actually means.
So like some sort of criteria.
Some type of criteria. I did think about how like the NFL does Offensive Player of the Year and MVP. I thought that could possibly be something in our league where you give a Offensive Player of the Year, and an MVP.
Right.
Not saying we should do it, but it was something that was like pretty cool, like in the NFL, how they do that. They do the Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year.
That's a great point.
MVP.
We have defense.
Yeah.
We don't have offense. We have defense and MVP.
Right. We have, so maybe something.
Because there's no real criteria about MVP. It's a statement, most valuable player.
Yeah.
But what is the criteria? Because I think we usually associate it in some capacity with team success, which is a good thing. But is it set in and is it good that it's sort of this nebulous kind of thing we don't exactly know, but there's a narrative sometimes that forms, or there's a popular opinion, or a populace that develops. Like maybe that's just the way it should be.
Right. Yeah, because it just changes. It's like, okay, so is it the best player? Is it the player that had the best season with his team? Maybe that's offensive player of the year. Or is it just simply the best player in the league? Like he statistically was the best player of the year league. No matter, obviously you're not gonna have a guy in there that's like the team didn't come close to making the playoffs. Right. Well, obviously because if that's the case, then he's not the best player. But
most valuable.
It's not the most valuable then. But if it's, I don't know. It just changes. It changes too much.
Your offensive player of the year is interesting. I think that one's interesting. I haven't really thought about it a lot, but that is interesting because maybe that helps direct this thing. Because you could be on a poor team, have an unbelievable offensive year, you could still win offensive player of the year, and vice versa. You could maybe not have the best year in the league, but you were the most valuable in taking your team to a new height. Right. So there's all sorts of like a prism here to kind of decide. So that would maybe take some of that down with an offensive player of the year. All right, what about the 4-point shot? We're talking about taking away the corners, but what about just adding? How would that work? Would that go to the sideline from above the three?
Do they move the line
I'm sure
back?
You sit at home thinking about this all the time, right?
No, we can't do that. No, we can't do that. I mean, we can do anything we want, but I don't like when you start talking about the 4-point shot. Yes, you have guys that shoot from the logo in our league and shoot from way behind the 3-point line, but we also got to think about like the younger generation that's looking up to us as the pros, and they watch everything that we do, everything. And what I wouldn't want to happen is kids trying to shoot a 4-point shot at 8, 9, 10 years old when their bodies and their muscles are not even. My best friend, Drew Joyce, his dad did not let him take a 3-point shot till I believe we was like in the 7th grade.
Someone in the league was just saying that the other day.
I believe.
Was it Book?
It might have been Book.
Yeah,
he was talking about his form.
He's talking about his form. You're not allowed to shoot threes yet.
And I want to get this correct. I can ask my best friend after, but I know for sure, like when we played Little League, his dad would not let him shoot. He's like, you're not strong enough, and you're not about to mess up your shot because you're literally just pushing it up there, like chugging it like a full court shot. So he didn't let him shoot threes till we was like in the 7th, 8th grade. So when you add a 4-point shot to our league, what it's going to do to our kids and our younger generation is going to, I don't like it. I wouldn't like it.
You got kids prioritizing things that don't really matter yet.
Remind me like MTV Rock and Jock. You remember that? Like a 30-point shot guy shoot all the way up in there.
Was there a trampoline? No, there wasn't a trampoline. That was, what was the one with the trampolines?
Oh, my goodness.
Slam ball.
Yeah,
slam ball.
Yeah, slam ball. Yeah.
I had a college teammate that played slam ball.
That's funny.
Made it to the league. What do we got here? What about eliminating the charge? So I also wonder about this one. Like, what if you could still stand in and take a charge? There's just no call. But it's not if you were set, it's not a foul.
It's not a foul at all. You just take.
Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here? You can't do it at all, or can you go in and if it's a charge, it's just no call. You just keep playing. Like if your feet aren't set, it's a foul.
And if you're not set, it's a foul.
It's a foul. Because that's what I guess they're saying. There's no charge. So, but if you're still set, you could step in. Like if you're coming down the lane, I'm not meeting you at the rim, but maybe I could slide in and take a charge. I don't get a charge. The refs are just like.
there's already too much conflict between players and referees already. Could you imagine you take a charge on like Giannis or like Embiid, and you're there.
But I'm trying to think about what does this mean? Like, because if you take away the charge, a guy barrels down the lane. Your only option is try to meet him at the rim.
Verticality. That's it. That's the only thing you can do then, or foul.
Yeah. But even verticality sometimes can be a charge.
It can be.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a gray area. Yeah, right? Like
a guy leads with his elbow or with his leg.
Yeah. Anyways.
No. Charge stays.
Charge got to stay, right? Got to stay. I think that'll make the game too wild.
Yeah, got to stay.
Too wild.
It'd be like arch rivals then.
Right.
You remember that game on Nintendo? Arch rivals, they used to go crazy, fucking people up.
Catch a cross.
Crazy.
Transition.
Yeah.
What about just cleaning up some of our rules? Where are you at with like illegal screens? I feel like there's it's creeping.
I think we gotta get it back in order.
A little bit.
It's
not like I don't mind the odd one. It feels like so many screens now are like a hip.
Yeah, the hip or the leg is a little bit too far out, or the. It's a difference between the touch and go and the actual shove and go.
Yeah.
There's
right.
If I'm on the ball, you're displacing it. I'm on the ball and I just come up and shove you underneath your hip and I roll out because we know it's a switching league. Yeah. So if you're not going to enforce that, I'm gonna push you up a little bit and you're never going to get behind. You're never going to get behind to get the switch. So I think we gotta look at it a little bit more. I think the committee, the referee committee, and the players, we just look at it a little bit more. Just get a little bit more fundamental with it.
We've talked about it before how you got to give a guy space when you set it. Sometimes how these.
We hear it, but they tell first 2-3 weeks. We got to do, and then it kind of just trickles back to what it was. So.
Same with the travel. We've had different times. I think for sure during your career, definitely during mine, multiple times where we're trying to clean it up. Sometimes I'm not like a crazy person on travel. Like I like it to be a lot of freedom of movement. I don't want people just being crazy with it. But like the way we have the gather now, guys obviously put their hand under the ball a little bit. It's the catch and go. There was times, it's like an international.
Oh, international.
And international is different too. Some refs are like everything.
Yeah, and we practice it. Like, when we were gearing up for the Olympics, like the first thing we do when we say everybody on the baseline, they throw us the ball, and you put the ball down right away.
Bob Cousy.
Yep. As soon as you're catching the transition, put it down. You can't. If you do this, travel. International, travel every single time. No jab and go. No.
Right.
Everything is put it down first.
See, I'm glad we're not like that in the league.
Right.
That's the language. That's how we all grew up. Playing. In the playground or the open gym, whatever.
Yeah, just looking at, I guess, just because I sometimes since I ain't sit here, I get away with traveling sometimes too. I can't sit here and say I don't because but I think we just I don't want to be like nitpicky about our players. I don't want to stop us from being creative or whatever the case may be. But just we can probably, that's one of the things like we're saying with the offensive fouls. Just we can clean it up a little bit.
Yeah. What's the most egregious travel you ever got away with?
Me?
Yeah.
The most egregious travel I ever got away with, and you know what? The basketball guys was not on my side. The one that comes to my mind right now, I was my second stint with Cleveland playing in Washington, and we were down 1. I got the ball in transition about half court, and I was driving the lane. It's late in the game. I was driving the lane, and I got into the lane, and I traveled like a motherfucker. And I got all the way to the lane and missed the layup.
Missed the layup. They didn't call the travel.
They did not call the travel. I blew the layup.
It's because you felt guilty?
I don't know if I felt guilty. It felt weird.
But you're just thinking, like, they're going to call this?
Like, I had a wide open layup and missed it. It's the same game when I end up tying it, hitting the three-pointer off the glass.
So they made a bucket?
They made two free throws. And then I hit the...
So what do you mean the basketball gods weren't on your side?
Well, I mean...
They came back around?
Because it came back around because I'm true to the game. I missed it. If I would have made it, then we probably lost the game.
They found a way.
They'd have found a way in. Right. Basketball guy stayed with me a little bit.
Beautiful. I love that.
We're gonna pull that clip, so guys, you know how people be like, LeBron's lying. He doesn't remember that. What is he talking about? That's exactly what happened. That was terrible. I had one this past season too in Orlando. That was so bad. Switched my pivot feet. Missed the shot too.
No call?
No call.
Just straight up pivoting on one, change to the other?
Changed it at the elbow. Yeah. Terrible. Drove down the lane. I think
drove?
I was at the elbow. Pivot foot. Oh, I didn't like that one. Switched it. Drove. Shot up a floater. Hit the side of the backboard. I said, yep, basketball guys. That's what that was, got him.
I think that's good. Yeah, that's 45.
I love it. Love it.
Beautiful. Good work.
Knocking them out, boy.
Knocking them out.
Knocking them out.
Thanks for watching Mind the Game. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe for more content.